What's up guys, this is inHaze and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you Magic Circles 2, which is my newest World Edit Craftscript and also my first ever Mcedit filter. These both allow 3D object rotating and polar arraying around any center point to any angle or angle increment you want. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video. I'm going to go over the World Edit Craftscript first. I'm going to explain basically how all the options and settings work in there, and then I'm going to go into Mcedit and cover the interface and just show you kind of how that works. So to start, I copied one of these little fields out over here, and we're going to use that as a starting section. So we take our World Edit wand, and then we're just going to select the bounding box of this. Oops, okay. And I'm going to expand this one up, and that's good. And now we're just going to come out here and just kind of eyeball center point and mark that out with lapis. This isn't absolutely necessary, but if you're going to be rotating around the same center point multiple times, it's just a good idea to do because it makes it easier to keep track of. So now we just go into our stick brush and we use the command CSRotate, and we're going to use 0 as the first parameter. 0 defaults everything to the normal values. So now when we click here on our center point, you can see it rotated our selection all the way around 8 different times. So that's basically how the brush works. There's multiple settings that make it a little bit more powerful, and that's what I'm going to be showing you right now. So the first setting, if you don't want to use the default value, normally specifies the angle increment between the rotation copies. I have this set up two different ways. If you use a positive value, it's going to specify the total number of items. So if I use 12 here, it's going to put 12 items in our circle. Now, if you use a negative number, it's going to treat that as an exact angle increment. So if I use -45, it's going to use 45 as our exact angle. So that's how the first parameter works. The second parameter is actually what the resolution of the rotated copies is going to be. And by that I mean how well the script fills in the blocks on the different rotations. So if we use 12, it defaults to 4, and that works pretty good for most things. But I'll show you, whoops, I took that in wrong. If I use 1 here, I'll show you the example of how you can tell you're using too low of a value. If you notice gaps in your rotated sections like this air block shouldn't be there, this one shouldn't, this one, there's all sorts of blocks missing here. That means your value is probably too low and you need to bump it up. So that I left that up to the user to specify, so you can change that if you rotate really large objects or using a really large rotation radius. So that is the second parameter. The third parameter and fourth parameter are basic on-off options. The first one controls whether or not you want a full circular rotation, which is what I've been showing you so far, or if you just want one single rotation. So let's say I just want some weird angle like 129, and I just want one single copy of it. So there you have it. Now when I click, you just get one single copy. That might be good for if you just like wanted one single building just rotated around. That would probably be a good use of that. Otherwise, I think most people will probably just use the normal full rotation. But that is the third parameter, whether or not it's a full rotation or a single. The fourth parameter determines whether or not this is actually getting bound to the item you're holding, or it's running instantly and using the player origin coordinates for the center point. And I'll show you how that works real quick. We're going to go ahead and use 12, 4, 1, and then 0 is to use the player origin and run instantly. And now when I hit enter, it's going to run and rotate instantly without me clicking anywhere, and it's going to rotate that way. I originally made that because of issues that single player commands and world edit brushes were having, where it would crash the game a lot. I narrowed it down to where I found out it was just with brushes most of the time. Like, you could change a whole huge selection and the game wouldn't crash, but just using a few small brushes was able to make a crash. So I originally made that for that reason. Now, the newest single player commands version, which was just released within the last few days, seems to have fixed all those issues, so that option is maybe a little irrelevant, but if you want to do it that way, you can. So, but that is pretty much how everything works in the world edit Craftscript. Now, I never really showed you. Here, let me go to a different setting here, and I'm going to show you a few just examples. Like, you can really click this anywhere, and it's going to treat that as a center point, and the affected or the rotated copies will change accordingly. So you can get some interesting results just by playing around with this thing and just randomly clicking. So I'm going to go ahead and try something a little bit bigger. We're going to try rotating this whole village just to show you a larger scale example of how this thing works. I'm going to go ahead and create a bounding box again around here like I did the other one. That's probably good. And we're going to go ahead and expand this up 12. Now I'm going to come over here. Actually, let me set my brush up before I forget. I'm going to rotate this. We're going to do 5 copies, so it'll just be off the perfect 90. And we'll use the default parameters for everything else. So I'm going to click right here. This may take a few seconds. I may edit this out. Okay, and it is finished. You can see our end result here. We have our 5 copies all around our center point. And here is our original. So this is kind of the extreme side of what you can do. As far as detail goes, I used villages a lot to test the accuracy when I was originally making this script, so kind of a cool thing. But that pretty much covers everything for World Edit. I'm going to go ahead and jump into Mcedit real quick, and we will cover all the options in there. So I will see you guys in a second. Okay, we are in Mcedit now, and I actually jumped into one of my little testing worlds, or it's not really little, I should say. It's quite big. Just to show you, a few more examples. This is one of them. This is kind of part accident, part actual testing. This village was supposed to be only rotated at a 45-degree angle, but I accidentally put it in as total items, so yeah, I got 45 items instead. And then, of course, you just have some little fields on the outside and inside. So this is actually quite large. If I measure this across, it's about right around 500 blocks in diameter, so 2 times the regular in-game far distance, so it's pretty big. But that's not why I came in Mcedit to show you. I came to show you the filter, which you bring up by first selecting an area of blocks like you would normally do, and then the filter option will become active down here. Go ahead and click that, and we're going to scroll down here to, if I can find it, it's the 3D rotate and polar array. So this is the interface for Mcedit. You have 2 tabs here. One is the normal where everything is done, and here is a little help section I put that explains a few things. So all the options are pretty much the same. I'm going to go over them. For the offset type, instead of doing negative and positive, I actually have an option here. You can select if it's going to be total items or exact angle, and the value that controls that is right here. So if you want total items, you put that in total items, or if you want exact angle, you put the angle and then the number here. So that's how the increment or offset works. If you want a single rotation, just like in the other one, you just click this checkbox. This option, include air, is new. There is no option for that in the World Edit Craftscript. It automatically ignores air, and you can't control that, but you do have that option in here if you are doing underground stuff. So that is that section, and this controls your center point. Since you're not actually using a brush and there is no real way to get a camera position in Mcedit, you have to do it a few other ways. So I have this set up so you can either have your manual input where you can put in the coordinates yourself in these two text boxes, or you can use the player position or the spawn position. And what that is the in-game player position, which you set with this option down here. So you just go there, you go to player, move player, and just move him wherever you want your center point to be. And then when you go back in your filter and hit player position, it will use that position as your center point. So that's a lot easier to do than checking what those coordinates are and then typing them in here. So you can also do that, like I said, with the spawn position too, but normally it's just easier to do the player. So that's how you get the center point, and then the only other option left is the resolution, which works pretty much the exact same way as it does in the WorldEdit Craftscript. So now I'm going to give you an example of how this works. So we're going to use our trusty little field here, and since I already have my player position set there, we're going to go ahead and use that, make a clone of it, jump back into our filter, 16, let's change that to 13 items, and make sure to get this to total items, player position, and that's all you have to do, and hit filter. And as you can see, I don't know if you can read this, but the undo, like I said, does not work in here. So once you hit that filter button, it's set in stone pretty much. You cannot undo it. So make sure everything is right. Also, you need to save for the changes to become effective outside of that little chunk you were working in. So now that it is saved, you can see it rotated it around my center point just like it did in the other version. So we can do that again just by making another clone filter. Let's say I want, the 16 items this time. Hit filter, and that's how it works. Now you have 16 items, so you do that enough times, you play with it enough, you get crazy big things like this. So that is pretty much everything for the filter and the script. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy the script and filter. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and if you loved it, go ahead and hit the favorite button. And I will see you guys in the next video.